beloved chosen one. This moment enters your life with weight, with timing, with the kind of pressure that your spirit recognizes before your mind can explain it. Something in you has been restless for a long time. You have tried to name it in ordinary language. You have called it exhaustion, frustration, delay, confusion, maybe even disappointment. But deeper than all of that, there has been a holy stirring inside you, a quiet sense that life has not been speaking its full sentence yet. You have felt as though heaven paused the noise around you just long enough for this message to find you. And that is because you are not standing in a random hour. You are standing in a divine interruption. You are not here by accident. You are not listening because chance pushed you in this direction. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. There are seasons when God allows the routine to carry on. And then there are moments when He steps directly into your awareness and calls your name in a way that reaches past your fear, past your logic, and past every excuse you have used to keep surviving instead of awakening. This is one of those moments. This is the kind of moment that divides what was from what will be. This is the kind of moment that makes your soul whisper. I have been here before, not in memory, but in calling. You have carried more than most people know. You have learned how to smile while fighting battles nobody else can see. You have learned how to remain kind while carrying wounds that should have made you bitter. You have learned how to walk forward even when the road beneath your feet felt uncertain, and the silence around your prayers felt heavier than words can describe. But none of that was wasted. Every hidden tear, every unanswered question, every lonely stretch of obedience has been gathering into something greater than the pain that produced it. Your life has been under construction, even in the days when it looked like nothing was moving. That is why this message does not come to entertain you. It comes to wake you. There is a difference. Entertainment touches your emotions for a moment. But awakening grabs hold of your spirit and refuses to let you remain asleep in the place you have outgrown. You have outgrown fear. You have outgrown hesitation. You have outgrown the version of yourself that keeps shrinking to fit spaces you were never designed to stay in. There is a reason your old comforts have started to feel empty. There is a reason your distractions do not satisfy you the way they once did. There is a reason the familiar has begun to feel too small. Heaven is not punishing you. Heaven is stretching you. You are being called higher, and higher always feels uncomfortable before it feels clear. The air changes at higher places, the view changes, your old habits cannot breathe there. Your old doubts sound weaker there. Your old identity cannot survive there, and that is why the transition has felt intense. Part of you has known that you cannot return to who you used to be, but another part of you has been afraid to fully become who you are meant to be. That tension is real and that pressure is real, but it is also sacred. Something holy happens when the false self begins to fall away and the true calling starts pressing through. Do not ignore this stirring. Do not call it imagination. Do not dismiss it as emotion. There are moments when God speaks through peace, and there are moments when He speaks through unrest because your spirit can no longer remain comfortable in a place that is beneath your assignment. The discomfort you feel may be the evidence that your next season is closer than you think. The frustration may be the sound of old chains weakening. The ache may be the sign that your spirit is preparing to receive what your former self could not carry. Listen carefully. You have been told to wait, but not to sleep. You have been told to trust, but not to disappear. You have been called to endure, but not to surrender your fire. There is a difference between patience and passivity, and heaven is correcting that inside you now. Your waiting season was never meant to erase your voice. It was meant to purify it. Your hidden season was never proof that you were forgotten. It was proof that you were being formed where human applause could not interfere with what God was building. So breathe here. Let this truth settle into you. The message you have been waiting for is not simply that change is coming. It is that your spirit already knows the door is open. Something has arrived. Something has shifted. Something has been released in the unseen, and your soul felt it before your circumstances could confirm it. That is why this moment feels heavier than a passing thought. It carries witness. It carries timing. It carries the authority of a call that has come looking for you more than once. And this time you are hearing it with different ears. You do not need to have every answer today. You do not need to see the entire path. You only need to recognize that the interruption is holy and that your response matters. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect. Heaven is asking you to be willing. That willingness is powerful. That willingness breaks resistance. That willingness opens what fear tried to keep closed. And as a prophetic act of agreement, comment 999 if your spirit knows this message found you at the right time. From this point forward, let your heart stay open. Let your spirit stay alert. Let every part of you understand that this is the beginning of a turning, not a loud performance, not a temporary emotional rush, but a realignment. You are being pulled out of numbness and into awareness, out of delay and into readiness, out of survival and into sacred purpose. The message has arrived, and deep down, you already know it carries your name. You can feel it more clearly now. This moment did not begin when you noticed it. It did not begin when the pressure increased, when the silence grew heavier, or when your spirit started sensing that something was shifting around you. It began much earlier, in places you could not yet see, inside decisions heaven had already made concerning your life. You were marked before the beginning. That is why ordinary explanations have never fully satisfied you. That is why you have often felt a pull that others could not understand. You were never meant to live only on the surface. You were never built to drift through life without sensing that something greater was pressing on your name. There has always been a reason your journey felt different. Even when you tried to fit in, part of you remained set apart. Even when you tried to quiet your spirit, something inside you stayed awake. You may have questioned that difference many times. You may have wondered why your life seemed to move through unusual delays, unusual resistance, and unusual seasons of being misunderstood. But what felt strange was often sacred. What felt lonely was often preparation. What felt like being overlooked was often the beginning of being set aside for something that could not be rushed. That is because purpose rarely enters with applause. More often, it first appears as tension. It appears as a dream that does not leave you alone. It appears as a knowing that your current surroundings cannot define your final place. It appears as an ache that keeps telling you there is more, even when everything around you says to settle down and stop expecting anything greater. You have lived with that ache. You have carried that hidden knowing. And even when you tried to dismiss it, it returned. Because what God places in you does not disappear simply because the road becomes difficult. This is where Joseph comes beside your story in a way that feels natural and true. Joseph was marked early. Before the elevation, before the palace, before the public meaning of his life became visible, he carried a dream. That dream was not small. It was not ordinary. It was not convenient. It placed a future inside him that his present circumstances could not explain. And that is often how divine marking works. God lets you sense something before you can hold it. He places a glimpse in your spirit before the world around you has any structure to support it. Joseph knew there was more on his life, but knowing there is more and walking through the road toward it are two very different things. You understand that difference. You understand what it is like to carry something inwardly while outwardly your life seems to move through contradiction. Joseph had the dream, but then came betrayal. He had the promise, but then came the pit. He had favor, but then came the house where he served. He had integrity, but then came false accusation. He had wisdom, but then came the prison. That sequence matters because it shows something your spirit needs to hear right now. Being marked by God does not mean you avoid hidden seasons. It means hidden seasons cannot cancel what God has spoken over you. That is why your process has felt so deep. You are not only being moved from one chapter to another, you are being shaped in the places between promise and fulfillment. Joseph was not forgotten in the pit. He was not abandoned in the prison. He was not disqualified by the silence between the dream and the day it began to unfold. He was being formed in ways that would make the future possible. The dream was real from the beginning, but the character needed to carry it was built over time. In the same way, your delays have not been empty. Your waiting has not been useless. Your hidden pain has not erased your calling. It has been refining the vessel that will hold what is coming. So when you look back at the years that seemed confusing, try to see them with different eyes. The places where you felt buried may have been the places where your roots went deeper. The rooms where you felt unseen may have been the places where heaven was strengthening your discernment, your patience, and your inner stability. Joseph could not step into authority with the heart he had at the beginning. He had to be matured by the road, and you, too, have been matured by roads you did not choose but were still used by God. Let that truth settle gently. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not standing outside the reach of divine timing. You are living proof that a marked life can survive confusion, survive delay, survive betrayal, and still carry the scent of purpose. Stay close to this message as it unfolds. Like it if it speaks to your spirit. Share it with someone who needs this confirmation. Subscribe if you want to keep walking in this stream of encouragement. And if you feel led to support the work, there is a way to donate in the description. Let every response come from peace, not pressure, as part of your agreement with what God is stirring in you. What matters most right now is that you stop interpreting your hidden years as rejection. Joseph's dream did not fail because the process became painful. It proved its divine origin by surviving every attempt to bury it. The same is true for what God has placed in you. You were marked before the beginning, and the evidence is not only in what you hope for ahead, it is also in the way your spirit kept surviving seasons that should have broken a lesser calling. Like Joseph, you have carried something bigger than the room you were in. And now, slowly but unmistakably, you are beginning to realize that the message you have been waiting for is not announcing a random change. It is confirming that what was planted long ago is still alive, still protected, and still moving toward its appointed hour. Now the message turns, and you can feel the urgency rising. Not the kind of urgency that comes from panic, but the kind that comes from truth getting too close to ignore. There are moments in life when delay is only delay. Then there are moments when delay becomes danger, because what is being postponed is not a small decision but a spiritual response. You have entered one of those moments. The warning you cannot ignore again is not merely about missing an opportunity. It is about what happens to the heart when it keeps hearing the call of God and keeps training itself to look away. You already know that repeated hesitation changes a person. It makes the soul dull. It makes conviction feel optional. It makes sacred things seem familiar. And when sacred things start feeling ordinary, a person can stand at the edge of transformation and still choose comfort over obedience. That is why this moment matters so deeply. Heaven is not raising its voice because you are hated. Heaven is pressing in because you are loved, because your life carries weight, because your next yes matters more than you realize. Some people can drift for years and still think they are fine because nothing in them is truly awake. But that is not your condition. Your spirit is awake enough to feel the cost of delay. This is why the warning feels personal. You have already seen what happens when fear gets too much room. It makes you shrink when you should speak. It makes you second-guess what God already made clear. It makes you treat your own calling like a rumor instead of a responsibility. And little by little, what was once bright can start growing dim, not because God moved away, but because repeated postponement built a layer between your spirit and your response. Do not do it, no matter the price. Do not go back into that numb place where you explain away every holy stirring until your life becomes manageable but spiritually empty. That is not peace. That is surrender to smallness. Joseph's life reaches into this moment with unusual clarity. He knew what it meant to live in places that could have hardened him. The pit could have hardened him. The false accusation could have hardened him. The prison could have taught him to stop expecting anything from God at all. Yet the deeper lesson in his story is not only that he suffered, it is that he stayed alive inwardly while moving through places designed to drain hope from him. That kind of inward faithfulness is rare. Many people survive pain physically while spiritually collapsing into cynicism. Joseph did not let bitterness become his identity. He did not let delay become his theology. He remained responsive in the dark. That matters for you because your greatest danger in this season is not opposition alone. It is inner resignation. It is the temptation to say, I have waited too long. I have endured too much. I have prayed too many prayers that seemed unanswered. So now I will protect myself by expecting less. But expecting less than what God has placed before you is not wisdom when He is the one calling you forward. It is fear wearing the costume of maturity. Joseph could have settled into prison mentality. He could have treated the cell as his final address. He could have accepted limitation as identity. Instead, when the moment came to interpret what others could not understand, he was ready. Pain had not erased his ability to hear. That is the warning and the invitation together. Stay ready. Stay inwardly alive. Stay spiritually responsive. The delay was real, but it was never permission to stop listening. The hidden years were real, but they were never an excuse to become numb. This hour asks something direct from you. It asks whether you will keep protecting your disappointment or whether you will let God restore expectation inside you. Because once expectation is restored, obedience becomes possible again. And once obedience becomes possible, doors that looked sealed can begin to move. You may not feel fully prepared. Joseph likely did not feel that prison had qualified him for palace decisions. But calling is not unlocked by feeling ready. It is unlocked by being willing. Willing to answer. Willing to rise. Willing to stop negotiating with fear. Willing to trust that the God who carried you through buried seasons knows how to bring you into visible purpose. The warning is that continued resistance has a cost. The hope is that responsiveness still carries power. The door is not shut. The voice of God has not withdrawn. But you must stop treating this inner stirring like background noise. It is a summons. And for some of you, part of your obedience in this season may also include creating space for greater focus, peace, and mental clarity, especially if you have been feeling mentally scattered, drained, creatively blocked, or unable to hold your attention steady long enough to act on what God is showing you. One resource some people explore for that is the Genius Wave or Genius Song. a 7-minute audio product built around brainwave entrainment concepts, using sounds described as supporting states linked with focus, creativity, calm, and clearer thinking. It is presented as a digital audio tool that may help with concentration, memory, stress, and mental sharpness, with a one-time price and a money-back period described on its official page. If that sounds relevant to your season, you can check the official information in the description or pinned comment, and be careful with fake versions or copied pages. Only use the official source if you decide to try it, so do not let this warning fade once the words are over. Carry it with you into the quiet places, into the ordinary hours, into the decisions nobody else will see. Joseph did not step from confinement into purpose by accident. He arrived there with a spirit that stayed open through the dark. You are being asked to do the same. Guard your heart from numbness. Guard your mind from defeat. Guard your expectation from the slow poison of delay. What God planted in you is still alive, and your next act of obedience may be the beginning of changing. By now, you can sense that the pressure around you has never been only about circumstances. The resistance has felt too targeted, too consistent, too strangely timed to be explained by ordinary life alone. The battle around you is not physical, even when it shows up through people. Delays, misunderstandings, closed doors, sudden heaviness, or waves of discouragement that seem to arrive without warning. What you have been facing has often worn earthly clothing while carrying spiritual intent. That is why some of your hardest battles left no visible mark, yet drained you more than labor ever could. The real contest has been over your clarity, your confidence, your obedience, and your ability to remain aligned with what God has spoken inside you. There is a reason the enemy prefers confusion over confrontation. Confusion is quieter. It does not always look like darkness. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, fatigue, distraction, comparison, or the slow erosion of conviction. Sometimes it looks like 1,000 small pressures piling onto your mind until you no longer trust what God already made clear. The goal is not always to destroy you in one moment. Often the goal is to wear down your discernment until you start calling spiritual interference by softer names. You say you are just tired. You say you are only in a difficult season. You say maybe you expected too much. Yet beneath those explanations, your spirit knows that something has been trying to make you forget who you are. That is why this truth lands with such force. You are not imagining the warfare. You are not weak because you feel it. In many ways, you feel it because your life carries consequence. Darkness does not spend energy attacking what poses no threat. Resistance gathers around light. Pressure forms around movement. The more your life begins to lean toward obedience, the more anything opposed to that obedience will try to interrupt your focus. And still, this should not frighten you into retreat. It should awaken you into understanding. You are not being singled out for defeat. You are being opposed because your yes carries power. Joseph's story keeps speaking here because his battle was never only against events. Yes, there were brothers, a pit, false witnesses, a prison, and long years that looked painfully unfair. But underneath those visible events, there was a deeper conflict over whether the dream in him would survive the process around him. That is always the unseen battle, not merely what happens to you, but what happens in you while it happens. Could the dream be buried under betrayal? Could his heart be bent out of shape by injustice? Could his inner life be distorted until the very thing God placed in him became unrecognizable? That is how spiritual warfare often works. It aims at the seed before the harvest can appear. You have lived pieces of that same pattern. Some attacks did not come to ruin your day. They came to weaken your agreement with God's purpose. Some disappointments were not only painful, they were strategic. They pushed against your trust. They whispered that your prayers were wasted, that your waiting meant nothing, that your inner life was too tired to keep expecting anything holy. But the fact that you are still here, still listening, still sensing the pull of God, means the deeper attack did not succeed. You may have been wounded, but you were not emptied. You may have bent, but you did not break. Something guarded by God has remained alive in you. Scripture names this kind of reality with direct clarity. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. That verse does not remove responsibility from people, and it does not ask you to become suspicious of every difficulty. What it does is restore your sight. It reminds you that the battle cannot be won merely by reacting to surfaces. If the warfare is spiritual, then your strength must also be spiritual. Your peace cannot depend only on circumstances. Your stability cannot depend only on visible evidence. Your discernment must stay rooted deeper than appearances. That is why your private life matters so much. The world teaches you to manage image. God teaches you to guard oil. The world teaches reaction. God teaches perception. The world urges speed, noise, and constant output. God often strengthens you in stillness, truth, and inner steadiness. This is not passivity. It is alignment. Joseph did not preserve his future by controlling every event around him. He preserved it by remaining inwardly connected to God's order while his outer life looked disordered. That kind of strength cannot be faked. It is built in the hidden place where you keep choosing trust over panic and truth over whatever fear is shouting. So now you begin to understand why the last season felt so intense. Your light was never small. Your assignment was never casual. Your presence has always carried more spiritual weight than you realized, and what surrounds you has responded to that reality. But heaven has not left you exposed. The same God who preserved Joseph through every attempt to reduce him is preserving what he has placed in you. You are learning to recognize the battle without surrendering to it. You are learning to see beyond the visible without becoming consumed by fear. And in that deeper seeing, a new steadiness rises. You do not need to pretend the warfare is not real. You only need to remember that God's purpose in you is more real still. Now the message moves from recognition into response, because revelation by itself is never the end of the story. You have seen enough to know that your life is not random. You have felt enough to know that the battle has meaning. You have endured enough to understand that your survival was never the final goal. You were preserved for obedience. This is where many people hesitate, because they love the comfort of being chosen but fear the cost of acting like it. Yet the truth is simple and holy. Your obedience will unlock what is waiting. Not because God is cruel and not because he is hiding good things behind impossible tests, but because obedience aligns your life with what heaven has already prepared. Many doors do not open through striving. Many burdens do not break through analysis alone. Many answers do not appear while you are standing at a distance, asking for certainty before movement. Some things only become visible after the first step. Some streams only begin to flow when your feet enter the water. Some confirmations only arrive after your yes. That is why this moment is so sacred. You are being invited to move from agreement in your spirit to agreement in your actions. It is one thing to feel stirred. It is another thing to obey the stirring. It is one thing to say that God has called you. It is another thing to reorder your life around that call. The gap between those two places is where many destinies slow down, not because God changed his mind, but because fear kept negotiating with what obedience had already made clear. Joseph teaches this with quiet power. When his moment finally came, he did not enter it as a man who had mastered every circumstance. He entered it as a man who had learned to remain available. Prison did not become his identity. Delay did not become his doctrine. Pain did not become his excuse. So when the hour opened, he was able to rise into it. This is what obedience looks like. It is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Often it is the steady willingness to remain open to God after everything tried to close you down. You are standing in such a place now. There is something waiting on the other side of your obedience that cannot be reached by wishing, postponing, or endlessly preparing. You already know some of the places where God has been pressing on your heart. Maybe it is a decision you have delayed. Maybe it is a habit you must leave behind. Maybe it is a step of faith that makes no sense to others. Maybe it is the end of compromise. Maybe it is the beginning of discipline. Maybe it is simply the choice to stop living half awake and fully return your attention to what God is saying. Whatever form it takes, the deeper issue is the same. Will you obey when the path is not fully explained? This is where trust becomes living truth. Scripture says, "And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it." Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. Notice the tenderness in that promise. God does not merely point and disappear. He speaks as you walk. He guides in motion. He gives direction in relationship. But the instruction includes movement. Walk in it, not admire it, not delay it, not discuss it until the fire fades. Walk in it. You do not need a life without risk in order to obey. You need a heart that has decided God's voice is safer than your fear. That is the great turning. When that settles inside you, confusion loses some of its grip. Delay loses some of its power. The need to control every outcome begins to weaken. Obedience does not answer every question at once, but it places you where provision, strength, and clarity can meet you. It unlocks what waiting alone never could, and what is waiting is not always something external first. Sometimes what obedience unlocks is peace. Sometimes it is clarity. Sometimes it is renewed strength, restored self-respect, sharper discernment, cleaner desires, deeper courage, or the return of joy that compromise quietly stole from you. Then, from that inner alignment, the outward changes begin. Doors open, right relationships form. Wrong attachments loosen, timing shifts. What seemed fixed starts moving because your inner life is no longer resisting what God is building. So hear this deeply. Your next yes matters, not next year. Not when everything feels easier. Not after one more season of hesitation. Now. The call is not asking whether you feel impressive enough. It is asking whether you are willing. Heaven already knows your weakness. Heaven is not shocked by your humanity. What God honors is surrender. What God works with is willingness. What God breathes on is obedience. Let this become your answer before the day moves on. Let your spirit stop bargaining with truth. Let your heart stop waiting for a more convenient moment to become who you were called to be. The grace on your life is not there to make rebellion comfortable. It is there to make obedience possible. And once you step into that obedience, you will discover that what felt locked was often waiting for your agreement. Something is ready to break open. Something is ready to come into alignment. Something is ready to meet you on the road of surrender. Not because you earned it through perfection, but because your yes creates space for what God always intended. If this is your moment of agreement, comment "I will obey." Then carry that answer beyond words, because the real power is not in saying it here. The real power is in living it when this message becomes your next decision. You have come too far to question whether this moment matters. Deep inside, you already know that something irreversible is happening. Not because every circumstance has changed yet, not because every answer has arrived, and not because every wound has fully closed, but because your spirit is no longer standing where it once stood. The old version of you could survive, but this version is being called to reign. The old version of you could endure, but this version is learning authority. The old version of you kept asking whether the promise was real. This version is beginning to understand that the promise survived every storm, every delay, every hidden season, and every attack that tried to make you release it. You are stepping into your crown now. That crown is not pride. It is not vanity. It is not the kind of elevation the world chases through noise, image, and endless performance. It is the quiet authority of a life that has been tested and still stayed open to God. It is the dignity that comes from obedience. It is the weight of purpose resting on someone who no longer needs constant proof in order to keep walking. There is a difference between being seen by people and being established by heaven. What God is doing in you now belongs to the second kind. It is deeper than applause. It is steadier than emotion. It is stronger than temporary momentum. You are not entering a fragile excitement. You are entering a settled knowing. This is why the pressure could not destroy you. It exposed what was false, but it could not remove what was true. This is why delay could not erase your future. It refined your character, but it could not cancel your assignment. This is why betrayal could wound you but not define you. This is why loneliness could stretch you but not empty you. Through every chapter, God was preserving more than your survival. He was preserving your oil, your discernment, your tenderness, your courage, and your capacity to carry what is next without collapsing under it. What once felt like loss now begins to reveal itself as preparation. You may still have moments where your feelings lag behind your calling. That is all right. Truth does not become false because emotion needs time to catch up. You do not have to feel powerful every hour in order to walk in spiritual authority. You do not have to wake each morning with complete certainty in your body. What matters is that something in your spirit has agreed with God. Once that agreement is formed, your life begins to move from the inside out. Your speech changes. Your discernment sharpens. Your boundaries grow clearer. Your peace becomes harder to steal. You stop begging at doors that were never assigned to open for you, because you begin to sense the doors that carry your name. And now, before this script closes, let a prayer rise naturally from everything that has been building in you. Father, in the name of Jesus, let every word you intended for this soul take root deeply and remain alive long after this moment passes. Strengthen the one listening right now. Where they have felt tired, breathe fresh strength. Where they have felt confused, release holy clarity. Where fear has tried to tighten its grip, let peace break that grip gently but completely. Heal the places in them that still ache from old disappointment. Restore trust where delay tried to make them cynical. Awaken what has grown sleepy. Confirm what you have spoken. Guard their mind, guard their heart, guard their calling, and lead them with a steady hand into every door, every assignment, and every act of obedience that belongs to this next season. Let no counterfeit voice confuse them, and let no past season define them beyond what your grace has redeemed. Amen. Let that prayer settle over you without striving. You do not need to force what God is already breathing on. You do not need to manufacture fire when heaven has already lit the flame again. Simply remain near, remain willing, remain honest before God. The crown you are stepping into is carried best by those who stay humble in the presence of the one who gave it. This is not the hour to become proud. This is the hour to become steady. Not loud for the sake of being noticed, but clear for the sake of obedience. Not driven by image, but rooted in identity. And because messages like this often find the people who need them most through simple acts of support, stay connected in whatever way feels right to you. You can gently like this message, share it with someone whose spirit needs this confirmation, and subscribe if you want to continue walking in this stream of encouragement. If you feel moved to help support the work behind these words, there is also a way to donate in the description. Let it be an act of peace, never pressure, and let your response come from gratitude for what God is stirring. What matters most is this: you are not leaving this message smaller than you arrived. You are leaving with greater sight, greater sobriety, greater tenderness, and greater strength. The battle was real, but so was the preserving hand of God. The waiting was real, but so was the preparation hidden inside it. The pain was real, but so was the purpose that outlived it. And now the shift is real too. You are not merely hoping for someday. You are standing inside a turning point. You are stepping into your crown now, and heaven has already gone before you. So carry this with you softly. Let it stay in your breathing, in your choices, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to stay close to God and keep saying yes when He leads. The road ahead may still stretch you, but it will not erase you. The same hand that kept you through hidden years will guide you through visible ones. Rest in that, walk in that, trust in that. What has begun in your spirit today is not small, and it is not passing. It is the continuation of something heaven wrote over your life long ago. Stay faithful. Stay open. Stay unafraid. Your steps are being ordered. Your heart is being strengthened, and your future is not abandoned. The message came because the time had come, and now you move forward with greater peace, greater clarity, and a deeper knowing that you were chosen for this exact hour.